So Giannis has gotten to the point where it is tough to find noticeable improvements from him because, he averaged 28, 13, and 6 last year, so it's like, how the hell are you going to get much better than that? But he's managing to do it. More rebounds, more points, more assists, basically the same amount of minutes. The shooting is probably the most noticeable thing. 32% on threes, shooting 4 a game. Now, the percentage itself, while we should care about it, I don't think it's the entire thing. I think a lot of it is the attempts and how confident he looks going up with them. Because throughout the regular season, at least, the Bucks are good enough to where they can deal with Giannis not shooting amazing from outside, as long as he's getting the confidence and getting more comfortable with attempting them. And looking at a bunch of his three-point attempts this season, he is going up with them with not too much hesitation. There is still some. There are the occasional ones where he has to take a dribble, whether it's to take another step in, or there's even one I saw where he had to dribble like an extra time when there was no defender near him, because he needed to get into that specific like mechanical space or whatever, I don't know. So there is still a little bit of thinking about it going on with his three, but it's a lot better than I think it was even last season, where you could tell walking up the floor, he's like, am I going to shoot a 3 on this possession? I think I am. I'm going to have to really get into position to shoot it. Whereas now he's a little more reckless. It's not where we want it to be, and we don't know how long it's going to take to get to the point where he's just unconsciously shooting threes the moment he's open. But he's definitely making progress. There was one 3 I saw. He had to take it. It was the end of the quarter, and it was like the closest thing I've seen to an off-the-dribble 3 for him so far. And it looked pretty awkward. Like, you could tell he didn't totally have his form right to do it. And I don't know when we're ever going to see that from him, if we ever will. But, with how dominant Giannis is inside, we don't really need to have him taking Kawhi Leonard three-pointers the moment you give him a little bit of space off the screen, right? Now, if we're going to mention the shooting, we should also mention the free throws on Giannis. And I'll admit, these have me a little scared. I feel like this could be a Karl Malone thing where when it's really time to hit the free throws, Giannis could fall short in some playoff series. He's shooting 61%. Now, he's taking a lot of them, so that could lead to you, having a slightly lower percentage, but even so, like in 2017, he shot 77% on basically 8 free throws a game, right? And since then, it's been down. And he's airballed a few. He also airballed 2 in a row this year, and his form is just not very good. He starts too high. That's basically the problem. He doesn't give himself enough time to build momentum throughout his body, and it is what it is. The free throws have not been great, and I don't really know what the solution is. He hopefully just makes them, but I am a little concerned that those could be a huge problem in the playoffs. Now, of course, similar to last year's regular season, Giannis doesn't hold the ball every possession for Milwaukee. There's a lot of screen setting and posting up and cutting and grabbing offensive rebounds, and he also scores about 10 points a game in transition. If you want to do some simple math, he's averaging 30. He gets 10 transition points a game. He makes 7 free throws a game. That's 17 right there, and the other 13 comes from just, like 1 3 a game, and then just being Giannis, pretty much. The 7-foot alien. Now, there are other things I think to notice. So in the Raptors series, the main thing Toronto did, besides benefit off the fact that Eric Bledsoe just wasn't good again, is they dared Giannis to be a playmaker. I also think the Bucks offense freaked out a little bit, where they kind of moved away from the super spaced out offense. There were times when Lopez had to post up because their team was so confused, and a lot of that goes to the Raptors, but you could argue that Coach Bud wasn't totally ready for a team to throw him a curveball defensively. But anyway, they still dared Giannis to be a playmaker. And he's a good one, occasionally a very good one, but against a great defense with a bunch of smart dudes who are all tall and switchable and all that, it was revealed that Giannis just needs to make some more progress. There were dudes who were open and he wouldn't spot them, and I don't know if he's proven to be that guy this season. I mean, again, I think he's good enough as a playmaker against the majority of teams. It's in a tough playoff series against a really good one, so I guess we're just going to have to wait and see there. I mean, if you want the advanced numbers, 34 assist percentage is higher than last year. Turnover percentage is a little higher. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on Giannis' passing yet. I do have a strong opinion. Well, it's not that strong, but I do have an opinion on his increased foul rate. He's averaging 4 fouls a game, and he is currently on pace to have about double his offensive fouls of last season. And taking a look at a few of those offensive fouls, I think refs are just a little more conscious of Giannis and how physical he is getting to the rim off the ball and stuff. Perhaps teams are also packing in the paint a little bit more on him, like maybe they're not as scared of the Bucks 3-point shooters this season. I don't really know what is the resolution of all this, whether it's making Giannis be not as physical or something, but I think it's fair to say that Giannis is in the Shaq, LeBron, James Harden thing of being really difficult to officiate, because you could probably call a foul on defenders basically every time Giannis does anything at the basket. So then it's a matter of, okay, well, do we look at fouls differently when it's this guy, both ways? Do we let him get away with more or less? Do we let other guys get away with more or less? And I think as of right now, this is the referee's attempt to do something with that. Whether it's send a message to rein Giannis in a little bit, or it has nothing to do with Giannis himself. It's just like a league-wide thing to watch whatever it is Giannis does. I mean, that was a thing last year, right? Where it was like, all right, we're going to be a little more conscious of physicality off the ball, what I think it was. And that really affected Utah to open the season. Now, eventually they figured it out and they were fine, but maybe that's just another thing, and they usually calm that thing down by about, I don't know, game 20 or so. So we'll just see what happens there. I don't really think Giannis is going to stop doing what he's doing. I mean, is it Giannis' fault that everybody else on the floor is a relatively normal-sized human being? No, it's not. So hopefully refs calm down a little bit, because based on what I've seen, I don't think Giannis is doing anything significantly different than what he's done the past few seasons and all that. Do I have anything else on Giannis? Not really. We'll talk about the Bucks for a little bit. They're fine. I mean, they came out of the gates a little slow. Offense was looking a little weird. They had that comeback loss to the Celtics, but they're fine. I mean, like, 2 of their losses have been really close. The only one that was a little out there was the Celtics loss. That's going to happen. These guys were my pick to make the finals. They're still my pick to make the finals in the East. I mean, while I'm not panicking over how awkward Philadelphia's offense looks, it's easy to say the Bucks look better right now, you know? And then when you look at the Celtics, the Raptors, the Heat, the Pacers, none of those teams have Giannis. So there you go. As far as any moves that the Bucks could make, of course, in a perfect world, they could get a second real star next to Giannis, but if that's not going to be a thing, I think they could improve on Wesley Matthews. He hasn't been that great. He's not really shooting the ball at all. Obviously, these guys don't need him to score as much as the Pacers did. But even so, it just feels like his impact has not really been a thing. So whether that's inserting George Hill over him or Connaughton or DiVincenzo or Korver, or getting somebody. I don't know who that somebody is, but someone who could just give you a little bit more pop. I mean, maybe like a Wayne Ellington type of dude who is going to move off the ball and just be better than Wesley Matthews, we assume. That could be something. And then besides that, I have no real idea. A small little thing that might not matter, might matter. Brook Lopez has not been good from 3 this season. He's shooting 27% from out there. Don't know. Could be something to care about. Whatever. Yeah, I think that's it. Giannis, there are things to make note of. Mainly the shooting. And I think it's something to monitor pretty much all season.